What is up, duelists? Arts and Crafts here, once again bringing you your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! Goat Format action. Today's feature match, we've got Red Daddy versus Royal. As always, both players rated in the top 200 of the Duelingbook Goat Format ladder at the time this match was played. Let's hop right into it. Looks like Red Daddy is going to be starting us off here, and they're going to open up with just a couple back row, going to pass the turn. Not the most insane opening ever, but could have some good stuff set here, so we'll see. Royal is just going to go, okay, yeah, so trying to skip ahead there. But we're going to get Standby Phase Trap Dust Shoot, and we'll get to see a little peek at to what both players are playing. Red Daddy looks like they might be running maybe Warrior, maybe Go Control. Definitely a little bit too early to tell. But DD Warrior, Lady, and Sinister definitely makes me think potentially it's more of like a Go Control sort of list. Hand just full of staples, though. All good stuff. All limited cards in the hand, actually, which is kind of funny. Royal here looks to be on some Reasoning Gate spice here today. And no monsters in hand, so this Dust Shoot is going to whiff, but this is going to be a good amount of information, at least, going over to Red Daddy here. You see the opponent has double Monster Gate in hand, so letting them have a monster stick around is going to be pretty dangerous. You also know you have to play around Snatch Steal. Also interesting, Royal is on main deck Metamorphosis and Reasoning Gate. I feel like that has kind of fallen out of favor a little bit. Scapegoat, of course, is a staple in the deck just to get monster fuel for your monster gates. And Meta, of course, is a natural sort of complement to the Scapegoats to go into Thousand Eyes Restricts and stuff like that. It can also help you extend your plays to like get further monsters in the grave after you've resolved your monster gates and stuff. But I feel like most competitive lists are moving away from Metamorphosis, at least in the main deck, and it's just going for more consistency all in kind of on the combo version from what I've seen. But interested to see how this version works out for Royal here today. Getting back to the match, though, of course, Red Daddy whiffing this Dust Shoot, but besides that, Royal not really having too much going on, and I assume Royal is just going to go ahead and set that Jar of Greed and then pass the turn. Red Daddy will drop return. Like I said, potentially just on a little bit of Goat Control action here. Jar of Greed out of them. It's going to draw further into the deck. We know that they do have at least one threat here in the hand with the DD Warrior Lady, so that is a nice, good way to pressure the opponent's life points if they so choose. Looks like they found a Sangan, though, with likely their draw return. This is another totally fine way to pressure the opponent's life points. It's good to put pressure on Reasoning Gate so they don't just have all the time in the world to draw into all their combo pieces. So sticking a threat early here for Red Daddy is going to feel pretty good. And we can start beating in for 1,000 a turn. Add a couple back row there as well. Definitely some good hate here for Royal to have to deal with. They are going to resolve that Jar of Greed as expected. Dig a little bit further into the deck. Looks like Red Daddy found a Dust Shoot again, though. And let's see what they found. So yeah, we knew the hand out of Red Daddy. And then Royal still has not found a monster, which means that Red Daddy is going down another card here, wasting a Trap Dust Shoot, quote unquote. But it's also another turn where Royal really doesn't have too much going on. They could go, I mean, Red Daddy was playing into Snatch Steal here with the Sangan. So I wonder, is it worth it to let the opponent go into a Monster Gate? If they go Snatch the Sangan, go for the Monster Gate play, you look at the search off of the Sangan, but it does kind of unlock their hand, so interested to see if Red Daddy has like an out to Snatch or something ready to go. I mean, I guess we know that there's MST set out of Red Daddy, actually, so this makes total sense. You can just MST the Snatch Steal and go from there. So really good early pressure here from Red Daddy, and it's pretty safe here. Operating, even though you're down a couple cards, operating with full information is quite nice. We're going to go for the Trunade. Oh, I guess that's the issue here, though. We did know Royal was running the Trunade, so the MST is not going to be able to come through to deal with the Sangan, and Royal could actually get a nice little combo off here. Trunade will bounce everything back to the hand. We're going to snatch the Sangan, set up for Monster Gate. Red Daddy will get a Search. Ooh, and Royal flips into Dark Magician of Chaos, so already getting the combo stuff online. A few good targets, all three Trunades in the graveyard is kind of funny. I guess not anything amazing to grab at this point in time. Yeah, you're not super duper happy about any of these cards, I don't think. You could just grab Monster Gate to like continue the combo, perhaps, especially because you have Premature. So if you mill some actually good spells later on. Yeah, I mean, we do know Royal has another Monster Gate in hand, but the play in some order is going to be Monster Gate away this Demock. Oh, I guess you can't premature your Demock after you Monster Gate it, though, because it'll be banished. So yeah, this is a little bit awkward. The early Demock here, actually, without anything amazing engraved to mill. So I'd be interesting to see what they grab and then how they proceed on this turn. If you're Red Daddy, not sure exactly what your Sandgen targets are, but nothing super insane against Reasoning Gate. Of course, gonna grab a Magician of Faith with no spells engraved just yet, but it is a light monster, potentially. I think it's fine. Demock, let's see, is gonna go just grab Monster Gate, so we're just going for pure extension here. Monster Gate away the Demock. Flip into Jinzo. That's just a nice big threat here. Not too bad. See if we know they have another Monster Gate lined up if they want to just use that and fill up the grave as much as possible. Going to do it again. At least now you have a premature burial target as well, so that definitely makes a little bit more sense. And this time we are going to flip into Sacred Crane. So we're going to be able to draw a card. A lot of basically every chaos monster played in the deck is now in the grave, which is a little bit interesting. So you do have light, dark, and grave, but you don't have monster reincarnation to bounce anything back to the hand. So a little bit awkward here. And this can sometimes happen with Reasoning Gate, right? It is a little bit of a slot machine sort of deck, where depending on what mills and when, it really kind of changes up how powerful your plays are going to be. So I wonder if Royals play here, pending what they draw for turn, or what they draw off the Sacred Crane, is just going to be like Prima the Jinzo and go from there, perhaps. Dimension Fusion could be nice, though. You could go like Dimension Fusion, bring back Demock, grab Monster Reincarnation, bounce or I guess maybe not BLS specifically, but bounce a Chaos Monster back to hand, and you can continue the combo from there. But it's going to depend on what they have in their hand, of course. So they did find a Dimension Fusion. Okay, so they are going to go for that line. And so basically the one card they needed to keep this combo going is what they found. So now I wonder if it'll be Dimension Fusion or Demock effect grab an extender like Monster Gate or Reasoning, or if we're going to go for the Monster Reincarnation play to get some Chaos online. Would be interested to see. Gonna go grab Monster Reincarnation. Okay, cool. Gonna go discard that Metamorphosis, yeah. As mentioned, not the most amazing card in the deck. So using it as Monster Reincarnation fodder definitely is not too surprising. Excuse me. Bouncing back BLS, which does take you off Chaos, but you could potentially get the Sacred Crane in the grave somehow. Oh, yeah, no, okay, realizing that you have to grab the Sork to keep the light in grave, okay. My thought was, like, maybe if you're running another main deck Tribute monster, you could... I don't believe you used your normal summon for the turn yet, so you could, like, Tribute over the Sacred Crane if you have, like, Blowback Dragon in hand or something, but I don't think... Well, I guess Royal had to have drawn the Dimension Fusion off of the Crane effect, so they don't actually have any other monsters in hand. So yeah, forced to grab a Sork here, because they need the light engrave that is BLS. So once again, kind of an awkward play. They're going to be able to get in for a lot of damage, though. Okay, yeah, and we can just premature for Jinzo, and this is probably just game, right? 24 plus 28 is 52. So this is just GG. Nice little OTK here from Royal. Little bit sketchy at points. I think hitting the Dimension Fusion off of the Sacred Crane draw was kind of a make or break moment there. But Royal's going to take it down in pretty quickly, honestly, with just a nice big long combo turn, just vomiting a bunch of attack points onto the board after giant Truenating away all of Red Daddy's stuff. And we will go to game 2 here. Now, the one good thing for Red Daddy is I don't think Royal really saw too much of Red Daddy's deck, so it might be a little bit hard to side deck accurately, whereas Red Daddy has full information about the deck that Royal is playing for the most part. So information advantage slightly here for Red Daddy, potentially in game 2. And we'll see if they can abuse that asymmetry there. Red Daddy, of course, will lead us off here again in game 2. Leading out with the Thunder Dragon. Okay, so maybe they're on Chaos control with DD Warrior Lady in the main. Definitely possible. And then T-set pass. Not too insane there, of course. Can't attack turn 1, but good to thin the deck a little bit and at least stick a monster here to potentially pressure Royal. Royal has normal summon Sacred Crane, and we're just going to go set some stuff and then attack into the set monster. I guess Red Daddy could be running Morphing Jar potentially, so setting prior to attacking. Could get some value every once in a while. It's going to be a Mystic Tomato that they hit. Yeah, so this must just be Chaos Control out of Red Daddy here. And Tomato here can float into Sangan, perhaps? Maybe they're on a little bit of Abyss Soldier action. That's usually what Mystic Tomato kind of signifies. Yeah, and they're going to go into that Sangan, keeping a threat on the board. It's not obviously big enough to get over the Sacred Crane, but Sangan is just an all-star in this format, so good if you can get access to it pretty regularly. And this also turns Chaos on for Red Daddy. Light and Dark and Grave with the Mystic Tomato hitting it. And Royal here not going for any sort of big combo. We're just going to go End Phase, Raigeki Break, discard a Sinister Serpent, and pop one of these new back row. Hitting a Ring of Destruction. Okay, so one piece of interaction is gone. We do know Royal is on like Jar of Greed and stuff. They're on Scapegoat, so this card, the second card, could definitely well be a chainable. So interested to see how Red Daddy plays around that. But the End Phase Raigeki Break, potentially setting up for a little bit of a bigger turn here. Maybe we want to go Tribute Summon over Sangan. Maybe we want to summon Chaos, so we want to clear out back row to make that more likely. Definitely some interesting options ready to go. Red Daddy will re-grab that Sinister Serpent, of course. We're going to go MST pop the other back row. And it is a Call of the Haunted, so Royal setting 2 unchainables here. And they're going to get picked off one by one with the break and the MST. And now the back row is clear. Red Daddy potentially setting up for a Chaos play, like we were saying. Let's see what they choose to do. We're going to go Tribute Summon for Thunder Dragon. Okay. Not a bad play. You get the Sangan trigger. See what they grab. Gonna go grab Jowgen Spiritualist. Ah, okay. So, Red Daddy on the side deck Jowgen technology, which is, of course, very, very strong against Reasoning Gate. So I like this long line of Mystic Tomato, search Sangan, Tribute over Sangan, search the Jowgen, and then Royal's basically going to have one turn to combo off and kill before they have to worry about this Jowgen, which is putting them on a pretty, it's not a clock in terms of ending the game, but it is a clock before things get very, very difficult for them. Unless, especially with Ring gone, as probably one of the better outs in the deck to Jowgen. So things are looking good here for Red Daddy here in game 2. Ooh, and they also have Chaos live, and Sork's going to hit the board. Now, question is, do you want to banish the Sacred Crane? Or do you want to just beat over the Sacred Crane? Gets you more damage, but it does keep the light out of the grave for any potential chaos. But it's also, your opponent's running Dimension Fusion, so do you want the Crane in the banish zone to get Dimension Fusion back? I mean, I guess if, at this point in time, Dimension Fusion is probably a little bit better for you, because if you have, like, Tomato and Thunder Dragon, or Sangan and Thunder Dragon in the Banish Zone, you're actually kind of happy if those come back off of Defusion. But that Banish Zone can, like, fill up pretty quickly from Royal, as we saw last game. So interested to see exactly how Red Daddy plays this one out. I guess you can probably just go for the damage, is my guess here. Because an extra 700 is actually pretty nice. And it's not like it puts them on Chaos immediately, and they already have one of their Resurrection cards is gone, so it's not like dumping into the grave is going to be super duper likely. Like, if anything, now that the Call of the Haunted is gone, it's more likely that they have a Dimension Fusion to bring it back from the Banish Zone rather than a card to bring it back from grave. So maybe you just go for the extra damage here and start beating in. Yeah, and Red Daddy agrees. I think that is a good play. And you get to hit the opponent for, I believe, 2,500 damage. Or 2,300 damage. Yep, that's math. And now Royal is staring down a pretty formidable board here with a back row to protect it. So good turn here for Red Daddy. Sticking some threats, dealing with the board. And they also have the Jowgen in hand as follow-up next turn to mess with Royal's board if they can't just kill them at this point in time, which seems unlikely. So Royal here. Ooh, we have Cannon Soldier. That's a fun little tech card. So definitely a solid card in Reasoning Gate. Most decks will opt for the Toon Cannon Soldier because it's searchable off of Toon Table of Contents, which helps thin the deck a little bit, right? And makes it so you have more normal summons available in the deck without messing with the Reasoning math and the Monster Gate math. But Royal here just running the raw, non-Toon version of the Cannon Soldier, which can attack the turn that it's summoned, which is pretty nice if you're going for a little bit more of an OTK-heavy version of the deck. And we're just going to go straight for Tribute the Cannon Soldier to get Chaos Online in the grave, which is pretty interesting. Burn the opponent for 500, get Light Dark, and then Okay, so Royal, did have to invest a full card into this, but setting up for chaos here could have been avoided if Red Daddy had banished the Crane, but, you know, either way you picked, there was a way your opponent could punish it, so I still feel like sending it to the grave is probably a little bit better. Um, and Sork will come down. Sork, Prio banish the Sork, but we're going to chain Torrential and just wipe the board and say, you know what, when the dust settles, I'm going to be up a card. Even if this is a heavily card advantage negative play for me, I am going to still be up a card, and I will have Jowgen in my hand to make life hell for you, basically. So Red Daddy just trying to keep the board state simplified to a point where this Jowgen will stick around and get them tons of value. So I like this play. Royal, I mean, I guess if you have Dimension Fusion, you could fire it off at this point. Try to draw with the Sacred Crane and continue extending. Could be interesting. They're just going to go ahead and pass, though. Now Red Daddy's going to be able to stick this Jowgen. But top deck Pot Upgrade is also really nice, so getting a lot of goodies here. Going to go normal summon Jowgen, beat in for 200, and stick around and turn off all of Royal's really good stuff. Now, Jowgen is a little fragile, of course. It's only a 200 attack point monster, so it can get beaten over by basically any monster in Royal's deck. So I would hope for Red Daddy's sake that they have a monster, or they have a back row that can actually protect this. But if they do, they're going to be in a very, very solid position. And this was kind of what they were banking on with that Torrential Tribute play, is being able to stick this Jowgen and riding it to victory. So Royal, you're going to need to answer this soon. Otherwise, Red Daddy will kind of run away with this one. We're going to go set a back row and then activate card destruction. Okay, so something that they wanted to save. Dumping Demok in grave is nice. Let's see what Red Daddy has to discard. Oh, yeah, that's... I guess we knew about the Thunder Dragon, we knew about the Sinister Serpent, and Red Daddy also has the Shining Angel ready to go here. Okay, so is this like Chaos Recruiter out of Red Daddy with like main deck Mystic Tomato and main deck Shining Angel? And then we're also just playing the Thunder Dragons, because we haven't seen any like Scapegoat meta stuff, so maybe this is just straight up Chaos Recruiter from Red Daddy, which you don't see every day, but is definitely, at least back in the day, it was a very, very solid strategy. Definitely kind of has fallen out of favor in terms of Chaos Turbo is just generally the more consistent Chaos deck, if that's what you want to be doing. If you want a little bit more of an aggressive take, I feel like people have leaned more towards like Ritual Chaos nowadays, as it plays very similar to Chaos Recruiters, but has a little bit more dynamism to it, and isn't so reliant on like the opponent not knowing how to deal with recruiter monsters. You know what I mean? But definitely still a powerful deck in its own right. So cool to see Red Daddy take it out here with their own little twist on it. I guess running the Thunder Dragons as well, but pretty cool to see. And they're gonna get a nice fresh hand of cards, pitching in or trading in one of their last remaining Thunder Dragon as well as a Sinister Serpent, so they actually get to heavily plus off of their opponent's card destruction. So this is a very, very desperate play out of Royal here. But desperate times call for desperate measures, right? You're staring down a Jowgen as a Reasoning Gate player, so you kind of need to find it out sooner rather than later, even if it means Red Daddy's going to get a lot of value out of this. So that's just kind of how she goes sometimes. When you're playing the combo deck and your opponent finds their Silver Bullet, you got to make some unfortunate plays just to try and find the cards you need to get back into the game. Let's see what the play is. Yeah, just going to pass. Didn't like the card that they drew, but that's actually rolls sometimes. Red Daddy will be able to re-grab their Serpent in the standby phase as well. Probably switch this Jowgen to defense just to make it a little bit safer. And then we're going to go normal summon Spy and start attacking in. That's pretty interesting. Could have, of course, set the Spy and then doubled up on the Spy attacks next turn. But definitely totally fine. Especially if you have like Tsukiyomi in hand to just flip it next turn anyway, you might as well start getting in for some damage ASAP. So yeah, good to always keep your opponent on the clock. I guess this also gets your opponent down below 5,000 if they happen to be running Cyberstein variant of Reasoning Gate. We haven't seen that of Royal at all, but it's definitely not impossible that they're on a Stein version. But we're gonna get just a little bit of 1200 attack monster beatdown here out of Red Daddy just to keep the pressure up on Royal, which I definitely like. Royal just gonna draw pass. Yeah, definitely pretty bricked at this point. Can't really do much until you can find it out for the Jowgen, and your Ring of Destruction is gone, so it's going to be pretty tough. I mean, I guess your play at this point is you need to, like, normal summon Sacred Crane and try to kill it. But Red Daddy with these two back row is likely going to be able to deal with that. Yeah, just keep hitting in for 12 every turn. Might as well set another monster pass. Sure. Royal has Lightning Vortex here. Okay, so they found an out to the Jowgen. It's going to be card advantage neutral as well because it will take out the Gravekeeper Spy as collateral damage. So discarding the Metamorphosis, yeah, as I mentioned before, not the most amazing card in Reasoning Gate, and the fact that we've only ever seen it used as discard fodder for other cards in the deck is definitely kind of exemplifies why this card is falling out of favor. Um, and Red Daddy's board will be wiped for now, except for their set monster. Jowgen is gone, and this will line up a premature burial play with Dark Magician of Chaos Engraved, so we can start making some plays. There aren't really any amazing DMOC targets in the grave. You could go for meta on the DMOC, I guess, and like go into like a Gatling Dragon maybe, which could be interesting. See what they choose. Oh, we're just gonna Raigeki break though with the Sinister in the hand for the free discard. Pop the premature burial, stop this play dead in its tracks. And Royal seemed to be probably the only play they really had. Ooh, Dimension Fusion's gonna come through. So now we're just gonna YOLO, hope we can draw something good off of the Sacred Crane. Yeah, and you can see Red Daddy just the way they've been playing and the cards they've been able to resolve throughout this game has just made it so Royal has had to make these pretty desperate plays. Like, even premature on DMOC doesn't really do much here. Like, it gets a big monster on the board, but outside of that, it's not the strongest play. And now they're forced to go for a pretty mediocre Dimension Fusion, just hoping they draw into something good off of this Sacred Crane. And things are looking very good for Red Daddy here. Yeah, dropping all the way down to 300 just to resolve this Dimension Fusion. Red Daddy gets to bring back some monsters of their own here as well. Representing lethal on board, I think, right? Or I guess it depends on what their set monster is. Yeah, Red Daddy's totally happy to summon back their Thunder Dragon and their Mystic Tomato. Royal needs a really nice draw off of this Sacred Crane. And let's see, we're just going to go battle phase and we're going to try and trade stuff off. Crane will attack into the T-Drag. That's fine, I guess. I guess this does turn on Chaos for Royal if they happen to draw into like BLS, which would be an insane top deck, but definitely not impossible. And then you probably don't want to trade your Cannon Soldier with the Mystic Tomato. Yeah, we're going to poke the set. If it's Gravekeeper Spy, you lose, which is funny. But it's unlikely that it's going to be Spy, because Red Daddy probably just summons and attacks with another Spy if they have one last turn. So it's going to be, a Magician of Faith, which can regrab Pot of Greed. That's a pretty nice turn of events here for Red Daddy. And now Mystic Tomato is also going to stick around and be really annoying into this Chaos, or into this Cannon Soldier. So yeah, I highly doubt Red Daddy loses from this position. Getting to recur pot, you're up a million cards already. And yeah, Royal sees the writing on the wall, and we're going to go here to game 3. Yeah, Red Daddy playing that really nicely. They set up for, the long con, Jowgen as a searchable target off of Sangan. They had the little Mystic Tomato into Sangan into Jowgen chain, which was really nice. And then they were able to simplify the game state down to get to a point where they could just have that Jowgen sit on the board, apply pressure with the Jowgen protecting you. Royal had to make kind of a last-ditch play without really a lot of resources to just try and create something happening, but ended up just fizzling, and Red Daddy was just going to close it out there. So we will go to game 3. Royal now, at least for their sake, will have a little bit more information as to what to side deck against. We see Red Daddy on a little bit of a Chaos Recruiter sort of list here. So a little bit more intel for them, and they will get to go first for the first time in this match, which will definitely help out the Reasoning Gate strategy as well. Opening Pot of Greed is quite nice, of course, so going up a card early on. And we're going to fire off the Reasoning here. Red Daddy, you probably pick 4 here, because we've seen Cannon Soldier and at least one Sacred Crane, so it seems like the most common value in the deck. Red Daddy agrees, going to call 4. And they hit into... knowing a lot of stuff here. Sheesh. They find an Air Knight Parshath. Interesting, okay. So you know what? I guess that card is decent into Recruiters, because you can beat over them and still get to kind of plus off of it, I guess, right? Maybe expecting Red Daddy to be on a little bit of Scapegoat technology sometimes. Even if you are just playing like a standard turbo list. We have seen players, if they're on the Scapegoat meta, like Smokescreen side that turbo players run sometimes, it is pretty common for them to bring the scapegoats in against Reasoning Gate just as like an extra essential, like it's basically like a mini threatening roar sometimes. Um, so Royal may be expecting that and bringing in the Air Knight out of the side, and as well as just getting a nice big beater to deal with those recruiters, I think is totally fine as well. Oh, and then we're gonna go normal summon Fusilier Dragon. That's interesting. I mean, you can't attack with it this turn, so I wonder, do we have Metamorphosis to go into something big here? We're gonna Monster Gate the Fusilier, so saying, I want to keep my Air Knight around, I like this, but can I upgrade my Fusilier into something better? Let's see what they hit. We find Sacred Crane, cool, so the Crane comes out now. Royal will get to dig another card into their deck. Pretty deep into the deck at this point, not sure if you can afford to resolve another Monster Gate or another Reasoning. So this might be a little bit tough to close out from here without a very amazing board. You still don't have Chaos live just yet, no Lights in Grave, so things are a little bit awkward for Royal here with just the order and the way their deck has been milled. But I guess they do have 2 lights on the board to potentially get in the grave at a later point, but we'll see if they're able to live long enough to make that happen, I guess. Okay, we're going to Monster Gate again. Okay, so we're really churning through the deck, milling all of our chaos, and now we find Jinzo. Okay, so this is a formidable board. Turn 1, Jinzo and Air Knight is a lot. It is a big enough clock to kill the opponent quite quickly. The graveyard is filled with all the good stuff in the deck. Once again, every chaos monster in there. Demok's got to be in hand, right? Or it's one of the last 6 cards in deck, which would be kind of funny. And Royal here going for a really big combo turn 1 when they can't even attack yet. But they did find a Jinzo, which is nice, a strong Floodgate effect. We'll see if they can protect it, though, because Reasoning Gate boards can be pretty fragile sometimes, especially because they don't really play a lot of cards to protect them against the opponent's interaction. Usually the game plan is, I'm going to kill them before they can interact with me here. But going for this turn 1 combo, landing on a formidable board, but we'll see if it can stick around or if Red Daddy's going to be able to answer it. Red Daddy has Upstart Goblin to draw a little bit further into the deck. Into Thunder Dragon. Cool. So some nice deck thinning coming through here. And we're going to go T-Set Pass, which is a little bit scary when Air Knight is bearing down on you. Even if it's Gravekeeper's Spy, Jinzo will make decently quick work of them over a couple turns. And this back row could just be a trap that's a bluff into Jinzo as well. So Royal here, actually in a pretty decent position to start getting some value out of these monsters. See what the play is. Probably lead in with the Jinzo, right? Oh, we're going to go... Yeah, so as expected, Demok. I guess maybe they just drew that for turn, actually. But we're going to go Tribute Summon for Dark Magician of Chaos. We're hard summoning Demok, which is cool. A lot of really good stuff in Grave. I have got to hope that Monster Reincarnation is in the hand, though, because I feel like most of the combo lines for the deck right now will revolve around like bouncing BLS to hand at this point, and then going for some Dimension Fusion stuff. So would be interested to see what Royal is going to grab off of this Demok. If you have the Reincarnation, you probably have enough tools to go off this turn. But if you don't, maybe you need to like grab Graceful Charity and just try and dig a little bit further into the deck. Could be interesting. Let's see what they're... Yeah, they're going for the Graceful, so they need the combo pieces. Resolving Graceful here. We're going to discard Cannon Soldier and a Mirror Force, which is dead, of course. Already used their normal summon for the turn, so Cannon Soldier doesn't do too much. And you're basically all in on killing this turn or the next for the most part. Yeah, so they found the Monster Reincarnation. Nice. Discard a card, grab BLS, and now the combo can commence. Notably, if Red Daddy did set a trap, it would be live here because the Jinzo is gone. But Royal, we're going to go ahead and summon the BLS here, set up for a potential nice big Dimension Fusion. I feel like that's why you're banishing the Jinzo and the Air Knight, is because Defusion is going to come through. Red Daddy is going to chain Raigeki Break, need to use it now before the Jinzo hits the field, of course. Interested to see what they pop. You probably just pop the BLS because that's the biggest threat. Discard Sinister, pop BLS, sure. That is allowed. But now BLS was summoned. But Premature is already in grave. I was gonna say BLS was successfully summoned. So it could be a premature target, but Royal's gonna need to do some work before they're able to get that premature back into hand. But Dimension Fusion will resolve, Jinzo and Air Knight will get summoned, and Royal has essentially just spun a lot of wheels just to get another Demock on the board, an improvement from the board that they started the turn with, but they did also bait out the Raigeki Rick here as well, so they can operate with full knowledge of what Red Daddy has to mess with them at this point. Gonna go battle phase. Air Knight will attack the set. It is a Gravekeeper Spy, which is gonna wall them out. And I feel like you probably, because Spy is so likely here, especially like Red Daddy's not gonna set anything except for probably Spy into a board of Jinzo and Air Knight, right? So I feel like you should just bite the bullet here, assume it's Spy, attack over with the Jinzo, and then go from there, right? Because now you're not going to be able to connect with the Air Knight this turn. I mean, maybe you don't even want to draw the card, but then you are guaranteed to actually get damage. Right now, you're not going to get any damage through this turn because Spy will summon out another Spy. You get Jinzo kill one, Demock will kill one, and Red Daddy is successfully walled out. Whereas if you led with the Jinzo, you're guaranteed to get damage in this turn, right? Which I feel like is the important thing when you have 2 cards left in deck. But Red Daddy's going to be really happy that their Spies get summoned here. Going to be able to kill both of them at least, but didn't take any damage. And Red Daddy will live to see another day. Still quite a formidable board staring them down. But you only need to hold on for a couple turns before Royal decks out at this point. So we'll see what they can do. No traps available, though, thanks to the Jinzo. But Snatch Seal would go pretty hard at this point in time, of course. Can we grab that Sinister Serpent? Ooh, looks like we've got BLS, which is really nice. Can freely summon it without having to worry about any traps, of course. Do we just play it safe and go BLS banish the Jinzo and then try and hole up with some traps? Or we're going to go for big damage here. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty safe unless Royal has, like, exactly Book of Moon or something. We can go BLS kill the Air Knight. BLS probably kill the Jinzo. You kill the Air Knight first in case there is, like, a battle trap set there from Royal. We know Mirror Force is gone, but they could have Ring set, potentially. So kill the Air Knight first, and then the Jinzo. I like that play. And BLS is still, of course, big enough to not have to worry about the Demock. And now you've just wiped out the 2 important monsters from Royal's side of the field. You turn on traps. You can set a monster here to protect your life points. But the important thing is really you just need to hole up for 2 turns. And a Royal will deck themselves out if they can't kill you. We got Ring on the BLS, though. Okay, so Royal did have Ring set. That's going to be a nice 3,000 damage, which will get them a nice little head start on trying to kill off Red Daddy before they deck themselves. So that's pretty nice. Both players will take 3,000, but Royal still has 1 Dimension Fusion left in them, which is an interesting thing to note. Looks like they have no plays besides just slam this Demock into the set monster, though. It's going to be Magician of Faith. Okay, that can grab Upstart. Doesn't really do too much, but Magician of Faith can just wall off the damage from the Demock. And once again, Royal going to need to kill next turn, otherwise they'll get decked out. And Red Daddy just needs to have basically any semblance of offense. They have 5,000 life points left to protect. See what they can do. Just T-set pass. This very well might just be enough. Yeah, and Royal just didn't have the gas. Demock was the last monster left available. They invested a lot into that turn 1 combo just to land on a Jinzo and an Air Knight. Went for maybe 1 monster gate too many, perhaps, and ended up just getting decked out. And that's the risk you play when you run Reasoning Gate. Sometimes the deck just kind of loses to itself. But I wonder if Royal needed to go that hard that early, honestly, or if they could have just slow rolled it a little bit and tried to set up for a little bit bigger of a play at a later date. But that is going to be Red Daddy on this pretty neat Chaos Recruiter list, taking it down 2-1, the reverse sweep against Royal's Reasoning Gate. Got swept off their feet, of course, in the game 1 with the nice big True Nade into full combo from Royal for the OTK. But game 2, Red Daddy was able to find the Jowgen to shut down Reasoning Gate and could win from there. In game 3, Royal's deck just kind of lost to itself, decking itself out without having enough gas to get through the minimal defense that Red Daddy needed to present just to not die before the deck out occurred, to be quite honest. So yeah, some cool decks to see here today, some stuff we haven't really seen on the channel before, so that's always fun. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will catch you all next time.